100%. Let's move over to the NFC here, Reagan. The Washington Commanders pick up their 14th win of the season, go on the road and beat the number 1 seed Detroit Lions 45-31. Jaden Daniels, 299, 2 touchdowns, no picks, did not get sacked once. And when you actually watch Jaden Daniels, it's like his pocket awareness, his poise, his eyes are constantly downfield. He feels the pressure. It's so hard to tackle him with how fast he is. But then he'll still plant and set and make a phenomenal throw. He doesn't even need to beat you with his legs. Oh, but what he can do is run for 51 yards as well with ease, right? Like it's crazy. He played so well. Brian Robinson had 2 touchdowns, 77 rushing yards. Yeah, you were all over Brian Robinson in this one. And
I too bad I didn't clip that one, huh? I was like, 35 minus 120, and I just kept rattling it off. He was like plus 1,000 for 80 yards. He did only have 77, but crazy that like something as low as that total had that kind of value. So a lot of people were giving Detroit their flowers to casuals. I got a lot of like flack from some of my buddies listening. They're like, yeah, like Detroit's like just like Tampa Bay's run defense. I'm like, yes, they were, but Tampa Bay's got a Vita Vea who's healthy and a lot of other guys around him, where Detroit has a lot of injuries. So it's not the same Detroit defense that was top 5 against the run all year.
Yeah, the Detroit defense. Now, granted, they deserve some slack. Like, 45 points at the board is disgusting, right? But, Goff had the terrible fumble. He had the pick turnovers. 6. He had 2 picks, and then Jameson Williams threw a pick, right? 5 turnovers is tough. So 45, ugly. Even if they had 3 turnovers, that pick 6 negated, it's still not great, but it's not as ugly as 45. So, and, I thought it was ironic that De'Ami Brown, who Amon-Ra St. Brown brought up in an interview a couple years ago. Who the hell is this guy? I mean, clearly Amon-Ra St. Brown's a better player, and he did outproduce De'Ami Brown in this game. Amon-Ra had 8 for 137. That was my call for most receiving yards this week. What happened, Reagan?
Did it hit?
It did hit.
I don't know. Did it?
It did. Kelsey was second, I believe. Yeah, Amon-Ra had the highest receiving yards this weekend.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty and Jared Goff was in the leader in the clubhouse, but Stafford passed him by like 11 yards. So I almost hit Goff and Amon-Ra because I hit Barkley too as the leading rusher. I know it's super chalk, but
yeah,
I almost went 3 for 3 on that question.
Flowers. I will give you your flowers on St. Brown. Barkley, like you did a coin flip. Like I was just trying to get cute with it just to give a different perspective, but we know it was Henry Barkley.
I know.
Strike your cock more.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes, you were right. I will give you your flowers on St. Brown. That was a nice call. Barkley, good job on your coin flip, and Goff would have been a nice one too.
Yeah, but he fell to Stafford. But yeah, I mean, for the Commanders, De'Ami Brown 98, Terry McLaurin 87 and a touchdown. That touchdown was sick. 58 yards, took the screen. Oh man, I was pumped when that happened. I had a nice little parlay that did not hit, but that was big for it at the time. So very excited. Terry's a dog. Zach Ertz, of course, the corpse, scored a touchdown too. Good to see. For the Lions, I mean, Goff threw for 313 and a touchdown, but the turnovers were really bad. The pick 6 was disgustingly bad. The other 2 picks were also fucking awful. Jameson Williams, what are you thinking, dude? Throw the ball out of bounds on that stupid trick play. Like, the Lions had the best trick plays of any team, right? It worked out so well from all year.
Well,
it just wasn't there. How does Jameson Williams not know to throw that out?
Cool. That David Montgomery
one
play
was cool too. Yeah, 20 passing yards for David Montgomery.
Yeah. And I will. Overall, I mean, I thought the Commanders could win. I did not think they would win in that fashion.
Dude, it was a shock. It's like the Lions couldn't get out of a hole. Every time they scored, the Commanders would fire right back.
Yeah, and as a Jet fan, I will say, I'm blaming that Lions loss completely on the offense. The defense was fine. Aaron Glenn is a very, very good coach, and any team would be lucky to have him. Now, jokes aside, but we'll talk about that more on Wednesday when that news breaks. But yeah, I mean, it's just tough. I kind of feel for Detroit fans. I kind of don't, because I go through the same pain as them. So I'm like, you know what? I'm still in pain. So screw you guys. I don't want to see you guys happy. As a Jet fan, I'm not happy. So seeing another team go through it and having success, so it's kind of humbling in that sense. For the Commander side of things, happy for our, one of our boys, Walmart. Dude was hyping them up. I mean, we did not give them their flowers. I haven't made a video saying, like, I don't understand these moves they're making. I didn't think the team would compete right away. And I was like, bringing in guys like Bobby Wagner, Austin Eckler, some of those other big names that are older. I was like, Zach Ertz, I don't understand it. And guess what? They've all been impactful guys. I mean, Austin Eckler was a second-team All-Pro as a kick returner, so it's not like, as a running back, but he's shown that he still has some juice in the tank as well. Obviously, Bobby's been a beast. Zach Ertz had a big touchdown. So those veterans they brought in that I was shitting on, got to give them their credit. And I was talking to, Missed Caleb, the around the bases guy. He has a nice little future on the Commanders. He sniped him at plus 4,400. So, that is a sick future that he bought in early. I know he did a little reel when he was helping us out a little bit on the Commanders' success early on. So, had a few people that have been on that train. So I'm just happy I hopped on last week. And, I'll hop off this week because the Eagles are my team for the rest of this playoffs. But, that is a team I'll be okay with. And it would be quite the story. And honestly, for the Commanders, you could ask them, like, what was the biggest turnaround? And I feel like you could hear a lot of different answers. But ultimately, I would say the biggest thing is Dan Snyder selling the team and Josh Harris taking over.
Yes, dude.
You can say, oh, well, it was Jaden or, oh, it was Dan Quinn. But if Dan Snyder's still there probably is no Dan Quinn. And there might not even be a Jaden Daniels. So I think it ultimately comes down to that. And also, I saw a stat today because Josh Harris also does own the Sixers and the Devils. And I guess this is the first time any of his teams that he's owned has made a conference championship. So I found that kind of interesting because he's owned the Devils and the Sixers for a long time. But it's even more interesting. He owns the Sixers and he also owns the Commanders. So that's quite interesting that, that's the championship game right now.
I know. It is. It certainly
isn't that crazy that, like, if the Eagles are to lose, like, everyone's going to be like, fuck Josh Harris. But it's like he's still the owner of the Sixers who, like, a lot of people love in that city. Just so weird. And I feel like many people don't know that. Like, why would you think that? But that's definitely something that people don't realize. That'll probably be the biggest storyline being pushed around this week. But very funny.
Yeah, valid point. Jahmyr Gibbs looked really good in this game, though. He had 14 for 105 and 2 touchdowns. Also added 70 through the air. What were your thoughts on Montgomery's role? He had 7 for 28, and I thought it was pretty telling early on that it was going to be the Gibbs show when Montgomery got a carry down to like the 2-yard line or the 1-yard line, and they swapped him out and put Gibbs in, and Gibbs got the touchdown. Usually it's the other way, at least way earlier in the season, right? Yeah. That was Montgomery's role, and you'd see Gibbs get pulled if you took Gibbs anytime. I thought that was interesting. I mean, obviously nursing the knee, but with how good Gibbs looked down the stretch here, and I know you want to keep those two guys together, but do you keep the same cadence next year? I know it worked so well all season.
They just gave him the extension, so you would think
I know,
they would.
But I think you should. Are you going to start Montgomery still? Are you still going to have that 50-50 workload, or is it going to kind of be Gibbs 1, 60-40?
No, I would completely keep it 50-50. Clearly it worked. Like, Gibbs has looked like one of the most fresh backs in football, and you're saving him. You're getting so much longer out of your investment in him. So I think you should do it. I think the fact that they gave Montgomery the money, I think more teams should do it. I look back to it, and a lot of people probably don't remember it because I really don't remember it. We only saw a little bit of it. You look at Sean Alexander back when he was on the Seahawks back in like 2006, 2007.
Cover up one of the craziest.
Yeah, he was a dog for 2 years, but they ran him to the freaking ground. I mean, he looked like Gibbs does now. So yeah, it was great, but his shelf life or his peak was so short-lived because they just ran him into the ground for 2 years. And you see a lot of guys like that where they run him into the ground and they try to overuse him. So I think if the Lions can preserve him, you'll probably get, his whole rookie year, like all 5 years, have some good stuff. But you'll actually be willing to give him a nice second contract because he doesn't have the wear and tear that a lot of these bell cows have. So I wouldn't run him into the ground. I think exactly how you're doing it.
And those bell cows that do have the wear and tear, it's a guy like Derrick Henry that's 6'4", 250 pounds, or Saquon Barkley that's 230. They're much bigger backs than Gibbs.
But even Saquon, I mean, he only this is one of the first years he's ever actually been able to stay healthy all year too. So it's like even he's dealt with injuries. So people could be like, oh, well, Saquon this year, but you could have said the same thing last year about McCaffrey. Look how it worked out. So
yeah,
he obviously was dealing with injuries all year. Yeah. So that to me, it's just like, you look at all these bell cows, and outside of Derrick Henry, it's pretty much I guess Zeke Elliott for a while. He, those two were like the ones that were always getting a ton of workload, staying healthy. A lot of these guys deal with injuries and miss a year or two. So I would keep it how it is to preserve him for the long run. Sorry,
I like that point.
Football players.
Yeah, I know. Jahmyr Gibbs. If Jahmyr Gibbs got the full workload, Jesus Christ, this guy would not even be the roof. It'd be Mars, like Donald Trump said today. We're going to Mars. So